Hello, and welcome to another episode of SciFiPulse Now. And, in this episode, Marx and myself, we're going to be discussing the boys. Not doing the boys, discussing the boys. It's been a few weeks now since the finale aired. I'm just going to open it straight up to you, Marx. What did you think?
I enjoyed the finale overall. So I think part of me wanted some big glorious battle or something, like a superhero thing. So maybe that'd been kind of cool. I don't know if it was necessary. But besides that, everything else worked out really well. It made sense thematically. It put a good close to the overall arc of the whole series, especially for Butcher and Homelander. And yeah, I liked it overall.
That's what I liked. It brought it right back to the basics of Butcher and Homelander, being brothers from a different mother.
Sure.
Yeah.
They were both on a very dangerous spiral. Butcher was on this really dark revenge spiral that was self-destructive, and Homelander was on this dark spiral of wanting to be a god and whatever and drink lots of people milk.
Yeah. I mean, it's thematically, it's amazing how similar the two characters were in terms of, what their agendas were. One was revenge, the other one was having complete dominion over the rest of humanity. I am your god.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
They just wanted to be loved. It was never enough. That's the problem.
Yeah. And, and everything else was collateral damage.
Yep.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the final season actually, and I liked how they brought Soldier Boy back into it, and it has me asking, and I think this is what it was meant to do, but it had me asking: would you say Soldier Boy is the most important character in the boys' mythology?
The mythology of it all, I would probably, because he's been there from the beginning on, in that sense. And he'll continue on past Homelander potentially, right? So in that way, yeah, he's an important figure.
There is always that chance that somebody else will thaw him out.
And we got a prequel series too with him, right? So
we have, yeah, and that's another thing I like, because I think it was the penultimate episode of the final series. They introduced Bombsight, and talked a little bit about the rivalry between Soldier Boy and Bombsight, because I think they're both in love with the same woman or something. But, they kind of went into that a little bit, and that was interesting to see. And it makes me wonder where they're going to go with these characters and what those are going to be like. I'm just wondering what your take was on that episode, because I quite enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed that one a little bit more than the finale, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a little bit of probably a little setup for what they're going to do in the prequel. Maybe a little backdoor. I don't want to say backdoor pilot, but they obviously been doing a lot of thinking about it, and probably because of the prequel and setting that up a little bit. I thought it was really interesting because it's the origin of V and everything in this world. So it was interesting to see them setting that stuff up. I guess you could say maybe it distracted a little bit from the main plot line, but I liked it. So
it's almost got like a little bit of a biblical type of thing to it as well, hasn't it? Sort of thing. You've got Homelander, who comes out of Soldier Boy, who could be original sin.
Maybe.
If you attach like that thing to it, it could be that. But it's like
there's a lot of father-son, unhealthy father-son relationships, because between Soldier Boy and Homelander, then Homelander with his kid Ryan. What was his name?
Well, Ryan was Homelander's kid.
Yes.
But I think
you had a lot of.
He was also. Yeah, it was a bit weird, because Bingy looked at Ryan as almost as a son as well, didn't he? Really?
Yeah. So but he was biologically his father once he found out, and had to deal with the powers and stuff. So that was interesting, because you have this whole family line, this really weird family line, where I guess nobody knew whose the real dad at first. Right. Homelander didn't know Soldier Boy was his dad at first, and Ryan didn't know who his real dad was at first either, his biological dad. Yeah. That's interesting. And then, of course, that ties in with Butcher being his found father or father who raised him compared to Homelander and that whole clash. So there's a lot of that going on.
Very weird, very weird toxic masculinity all the way through. I love that the Deep ended up as fish food in the end.
Yeah, that's fitting for him. Yeah.
Yeah, very fitting. The whole thing in that final series with the Deep and was it Black Noir? Yeah, that whole thing was quite interesting. Learning that Black Noir, enjoyed going to a theatre group, outside of his Vought persona was quite fun. And that whole thing was quite twisted as well.
Yeah, that was neat to get to know who that Black Noir was compared to the previous one. And then, then how all that devolved. They all start killing each other off. By the time it's all wrapped up, Homelander doesn't really have too many villains to be on his team because he either killed them or they all killed each other.
I thought, was it Old Father, the kind of like priest that could make people psychic? He was a really good character.
Sonic thing. Yeah. He was an interesting character. It's such a way to die. Only on the boys.
Oh my God. Yeah, only in the boys. But what I liked, getting back to the finale, I loved Huey reading out French's final thoughts.
All the holes.
Everything went back to, I assholes or something like that.
Only Frenchie would say
crazy. That. But yeah, it's funny. But the whole series, if you look at it, you're left thinking, Vought, as a general rule, is the real villain, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they created the situation for it to happen, right? Yep. That's ultimately the show was. I think the original graphic novel is like a deconstruction of comic books and comic book industry and stuff, whereas the shows was a deconstruction of corporations and I guess advertising and social media and everything. It grew into overall politics and everything too, and religion and stuff. But that's where it started from. So, which is pretty ballsy for them when they're on Amazon Prime. And sometimes there was a little bit of parody of Amazon Prime. So Amazon was had good humor about it, I guess I should say, which is good.
Yeah, so, quite a lot of it was close to the grain as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Vought is one of the main bad guys in a way. But it's like everything. It's like you can't destroy all the evil in the world. There's always going to be something bad. You just need to put checks and balances and, move forward and try to make sure it doesn't happen again. So now people know the true nature of Vought, and the government definitely knows and can put some safeguards and everything else. That's a different story. That's a story for the future for other people to be involved.
I mean, the whole thing, it poses an interesting question, which is easiest to stop, one dangerous person or a system designed to create more dangerous people?
True. It's crazy. It's easier to stop one person than a whole system.
Although, Homelander was like lots of people.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like he had many different personalities, didn't he, really? So, be really sweet one moment and a complete bastard the next.
Yeah, he's very unstable. So very much a narcissist. He's someone who feels like an outsider who wants to be loved, and he just confused that with wanting to be worshipped and he wanted everybody to worship him and love him and everything. So that's why he got jealous. He got jealous of God. That Jesus Christ is more popular than him. What's up with that?
So I'm surprised. I'm surprised Middle America wasn't kicking off at the scenes of him talking to Jesus in the film made. That had come out in the 70s or 80s. Oh man.
Yeah. Even on that show, they showed that not all people were cool with that. They might pretend to be cool with it because they were also afraid of him, but they also were like, I don't know about this. You can't really beat religion, really. You're not going to be the same plane of popularity is religion. The only thing he could do is make people fear him, and he could do that. So he was trying to do at the end. It's a really interesting play. He's a really interesting deconstruction of Superman, right? Going a completely different direction and different way with Superman.
Yeah, it's in terms of prequel, I'm kind of wondering what can a prequel tell us that the main series wasn't able to, because what unanswered questions are actually going to need answering. Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big question. Will it keep people's attention, for too long or not? They uncovered some stuff in this season that we didn't know, so then maybe they have lots of other ideas that we don't know about. So it's going to be really interesting because who is the hero in this? Is it Soldier Boy?
Yeah,
Racist, sexist, guy. I guess he's a little bit more likable than Homelander, but he's not exactly perfect either. Or is it going to be some of the other characters? It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. So
yeah. Well, there'll be a scene where Soldier Boy has a fight with a giant black impala.
yeah. I was waiting for that. I wanted to see some more supernatural references. We got that, one with Misha Collins and Jared Padalecki and stuff. So that was cool. Even more people.
Yeah, but they died.
That's it. Didn't most people die on The Boys?
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting Sam and Castiel to die. But then again, they'll come back in the prequel series.
You think so? But
And when they do sequel series in another 20 years' time, they'll come back again. And people think, I thought you guys died.
yeah, no. It was nice that they did that though. Of course, Eric Kripke was a showrunner on Supernatural from season 1 through 5, in case people don't know. And he's a showrunner of The Boys. So it's cool whenever they would throw that stuff. Jim Beaver, who was also on Supernatural for many seasons as Bobby, is the new president now in The Boys universe. So it was cool they had all those references and bring back those actors. So that's a good showrunner. When that showrunner can bring back people, he must be fun to work with. So
One interesting question is, do you think Soldier Boy might have become another Homelander had he not been cast aside and whatnot in the series? Do you think that's why he was maybe cast aside?
oh, at first it seemed like maybe, but no, I don't think so. I don't know if it's because I don't know. His priorities are different. He doesn't seem like someone who wants to take over the world. He's pretty comfortable where he's at and the power he's got, as long as he can do what he wants to do. I don't think he's a different kind of creature. He's just like a very racist Captain America.
Yeah, but it is interesting because he's just as selfish, arrogant, and cruel as Homelander was, So it's all, but yeah, a different mindset.
He doesn't need people. He doesn't have this desire to have people worship him and stuff. He doesn't mind being famous, but he doesn't care as much about that. Homelander is very much like very me. He's a child deep down, and he showed that whenever he was beaten. He's just a little brat who just wants what he wants, and he wants everybody to love him and stuff. But he doesn't really understand love, what that is.
Yeah, it's like a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-year-old kid having a tantrum because he can't get his own way.
Yeah, and in parts because how he's raised and how he was developed by the corporation and stuff. So he's very different than Soldier Boy, who was a normal human for a while and then got his powers, and he just wants to drink and have sex with whoever and just party and stuff. And then occasionally you point him somewhere he needs to go kill somebody, he'll do it. So it's just a different priority set.
Yeah. And I guess, on a final note, what do you think the prequel is actually going to be about? Because it's obviously going to be telling the Soldier Boy stories and the origins of Vought, sort of thing. Or is it even an origin story of Vought? Does Vought go further back than Soldier Boy?
Yeah, it's the rise of Vought, right? So yeah, we'll probably find out some secrets about Vought maybe we didn't know. We'll see how this all kind of started off, and I'm really curious to see how it works, because the Boys plotline is just a great plot, right? You have these normal human beings who are in this world of superheroes, where the superheroes really aren't heroes, and they want to find justice, against these people who are super famous and super powerful and stuff. It seems an impossible task that they need to figure out, and what lengths they will go to it. And that's a great premise for the boys. I don't know with Rise of Vought, what if that premise is going to be. Is it all about the villains then? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe if it's not Soldier Boy, maybe was it Bomb Sight was his name, or
Yeah, it's Bomb Sight.
yeah, maybe him or some of the other characters are a little more relatable for us, a little more good guys, good people, and maybe we'll see some conflict between that as they are in that system. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see where it goes with it, and I don't know. It could be really great or it could be odd. Gen V was struggled a bit. Unfortunately, got canceled. It's difficult to. The Boys is such a great hook. It's going to be hard to make as good a hook for a series, but I'm going to check it out. So,
I think in order for it to work, you're going to have another human group in it that are opposed to Vought in order for it to work properly. Because I think when it's too focused on just superheroes, it's a bit one-sided. If you know what I mean. Whereas I think what made the Boys interesting, like you said, was because it was like the humans versus the supes, and you could even have a potential spin-off from the Boys, given that they left it open-ended with Huey and Starlight doing their own thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that with them though, but I think they want to give them a happy ending. But I think there is another spinoff in the works. There's something, I want to say it was in Mexico that they've been working on, but I'm not sure what that's going to be, or they're still going to do it or not. But they are talking about a spinoff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would say a spinoff might have a better chance of succeeding because there's a lot of stuff that could still happen. A lot of fallout with the government and Vought. Lots of shakeup and new characters, heroes can be introduced. Maybe real heroes can be popping up too. People trying to be real heroes. That could be like a new age of where people are actually trying to be superheroes, and maybe the speed bumps that come with that. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. So
over time, Kick-Ass and the Boys.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a challenge to keep this franchise going, but I want to see where it goes because I like Jensen Ackles anyway, and the Soldier Boy character is really interesting. So I definitely want to check it out because of that, and I want to see what they do with it. I question what story arc they're going to be able to follow that's going to keep us hooked on that, but I don't know what time period that is either exactly. Is it World War II or when are they?
I think it's likely the 1950s and 60s. So probably both the Korean War and Vietnam, that kind of period.
They could, because those characters don't age, those first characters, they could fast forward through time. I don't know if you're familiar with the book series Wild Cards, but it has a bunch of superheroes and it's like an alternate history where right after World War II is the only virus hits Earth and that's what people get powers. So they go through different time periods and see how it changed, the world politically and wars and everything. So maybe they'll go through a few time periods there and hit some different time periods. Show us how history changed a little bit with Soldier Boy and them. That could be interesting because they don't age, right? They established they don't age, so they could jump forward in time, and it wouldn't be a problem with those characters until it's frozen.
Yeah. The trouble is, Jensen Ackles does age, so they'll probably have to get the series done within about 5 years.
He can fake it for a little while, okay? He can dye his beard and
spend some of the budget on Botox and stuff like that.
We can pretend that he's not aging too much. But if you ever seen, not that I think they're necessarily going to do this, but now you're talking about it, it would be interesting. Like, For All Mankind on Apple TV, that jumps through time periods.
Love that series.
Yeah, they go for a few decades. Now, those people do age, so they have to fake their aging. But you could almost do something like that with this if they wanted to. If they wanted to hit some political buttons like in history and have some fun with it, they could do that if they want. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. No, that's another wrap.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe and like, everybody. And
And let us know what you think in the comments. You know, if you have any theories or ideas of where they could take this story, you know, we'd like to know.
Yeah. And what did you think of the finale? I know some people didn't. It was controversial for some people. This whole season was controversial for some people. And I'd be interested to see what you think. Not just that if you hated it, but why did you not like it? So give us a little bit of deeper thought about what you were thinking about it. Or if you loved it, that would be awesome too. All right.
And the one thing you cannot say about the boys, it's not woke.
That it's not woke? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't call it woke.
Or I'm not going to even touch on it. I was hoping we'd go one episode without saying woke, being, dang it. Okay. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments of the boys, and we'll see you all next time on SFP Now.
Next time.